Good Saturday morning, everyone. This is Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County, sponsored by Bill Bryan Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. And today we have a house-load of soccer aficionados.
A veritable plethora of soccer aficionados. And of course,
I'm here too.
And even Randy's here. I was going to say, I'm Greg. I'm here in the booth here with Randy Von Alstein from the station, who's obviously a soccer fan. But we've also got a couple of representatives of the Leesburg Riders girls club soccer team, and these are the guys that make. These are the guys I always get excited when we're having people like this. And these are the guys that give their time, their money, their effort, and they're not getting anything else in return except the reward of seeing kids develop. And it's very, very, very rare these days to see guys that are willing to make that kind of commitment to their time and effort just to see a bunch of girls grow in a sport, which I think is fantastic. We have Coach Pepe Peterson, the coach of the Leesburg Riders, and we have Brad Sensony, and he said he's with moral support, and I said that's every bit as important because, like I said, my dad was never my head coach, but he was the quote-unquote cheerleader. Not for me, for all the other guys in that team. All he did was tell me what I did wrong. No, sorry, Dad, the rest is old. But, hey, it is great to have you gentlemen. And the pulpit is yours. I think that anybody that puts the time and effort that you guys put in to develop the Leesburg Riders, and obviously they're having a fairly successful go of it from what I was talking about off the air. So, Coach Brad, I'll start with you, Coach. Tell me exactly what the excitement is, what's going on, and what do you get out of it? What do you really get out of this, that you're coaching this team? What do you like?
I just think that what I like the most is that what they do as a unit. They're more like a family. I mean, this team, for a couple of years, have had a problem. They struggled because they were young. So we were always playing in Division I, and we're just getting pounded every game. But they were never upset. They just stay focused, stay focused, stay focused. I told them it's going to get better. The more you play together as a unit, the more you understand each other. Because we don't play man, we play zone.
Okay.
When you play zone, what happens is each member of the team has to cover each other's zones if the team shifts according to where the ball is on the pitch. And they've learned that. So now for the couple of years, now that they're older, although they're a young team, they've been able to adjust. We had a great 7-5 season. It should have been better than that. But we're used to, struggling a little bit.
But you just said you were struggling for the last couple of years and getting pounded. And now all of a sudden you're on the winning side of the ledger. And how cool is that?
There's no better joy than winning. Right?
Yeah, right.
We play to win.
Sure.
And that's what they're finding out. So they've actually practiced all summer long. The season has ended, and they're still practicing. We canceled practice this week because we need people to register and whatnot. So we can't be there as coaches. Well, the captains are holding practices anyway. This is a unique team, a very unique team. I think the future is going to be bright for them.
Tell me about the makeup of the team. The girls are from where?
Most of them are from Leesburg and Tavares.
Okay.
We had a couple from Umatilla before, but they've kind of faded off and went to somewhere else. But it's mainly Leesburg and Tavares, and there's such quality there that nobody really realizes.
Well, and that's how you sort of you sort of come up on the radar here, at least locally here, not too long ago, when you guys went through some 3v3 qualifiers and you qualified for national, which is a really big deal here locally. And I'm a soccer, like you said, an aficionado. I love the game. It is a beautiful game. And so when you see, especially girls soccer, and then you see 3v3, which is really, it's a fast pace, it's an abbreviated field, lots of touches. You got to have a lot of talent. Those girls have to be talented. And so when I saw that, hey, man, I know Brad. Brad's the coach there. I want to get him on the radio to talk about what's happening at the Leesburg Riders, because there's obviously something happening with your program. And, of course, you just had a young lady who is one of your riders, Tori Rodriguez, who was just accepted at Andrews College up in Georgia. And she's part of your program, right? And
Randy, speaking of Tori, she's on line 14.
Excellent.
Boy, talk about Tori. You're good. You know how to take a cue, my dear. Awesome. That's wonderful. Well, let that young lady on, and Randy, grill that girl. Get the information. You said you're going to grill her. Let's see what you got.
No, I said I was going to be kind to her.
I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
Hey, Tori, are you there? Tori, are you there?
I scared
Bob, you scared her
away.
Are you
there, Tori?
Yes.
Okay.
There she is.
I didn't
hear.
scare her off. That's good.
Hey, congratulations, Tori.
Thank you.
I want to be the first to say that on behalf of WQBQ 1410, congratulations on being accepted at Andrews College, and I know you're looking forward to beginning your collegiate career. And like I said, I just want to be one of the first to say congratulations. You've had a great success as a young soccer player, and from what I understand, and I'll let you put it in your own words, but the two gentlemen here that are sitting in our studio are pretty key to your success.
Yes, they really are.
Well, tell us a little bit about Coach Pepe. Give us the inside scoop on him.
Well, he's like, at first, when I first met him, I was like skeptical. I didn't really like him, to be honest.
Uh-oh.
But then,
Well, this is what
this is what
great.
we want.
This is the honesty we were looking for. This is great.
You're
Because
gonna
it's
get
around.
you're gonna get burpees, Tori, at practice.
either way, I was gonna have to do burpees. But he was like always like a joker, so I never knew if he was being serious or if he was kidding. And then after a while, I was just like, that's usual. So it's whatever. Like, I'm just gonna laugh about it.
What about Coach Brad?
Yeah, I want to know about Coach Brad. I want to know about the guy.
He's sitting over here being all silent.
Moral support. I want to hear about
But
this.
he's not quiet on the sideline.
No, he's not. Brad is like, when Brad first came, he started making us run a lot. I was like, okay, now we're doing track with a soccer ball. And I was like, why can't he come out here and run with it?
There you go.
Hello.
Well, what do you hope to achieve when you're on in your collegiate career?
Just that to like the next 2 years, it would just show me if I want to stick with it, and it'll be a good opportunity for me, because if I stick with it, then I can go further if I put my mind to it.
Absolutely. Well, we certainly would encourage you to stick with it, certainly with your education, and it's awesome that you can use soccer, which obviously you're talented at, as a venue to to further your educational career.
Tell me a little bit about the relationships you've developed with your teammates, Tori. Is that something that's been special to you, that's gotten you through the year okay?
Yes, they really have. That my team is like my family. That's the only people I talk to and hang out with, really. So, like, without them, I won't have nobody.
Well, that's you know what, that I think that succinctly says it all. That's in fact, Coach Pepe said basically using exactly the same words, that you're a family, and as you know, in fact, you were talking about playing the zone. Now you got to learn to cover everybody's back. You got to watch everybody's back. Is that something? Are they the college you're going to? Are they looking man to man, or are they looking to play zone? Do you know?
I'm not really sure, because
Okay.
I haven't even met some of the girls yet.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, but either way, I'm still going to have their back.
That's exactly
they
what
have yours.
They will have yours too. But I'll tell you what, that's all you want from I would think that's all I'd want from a soccer teammate.
If you want a successful team, that's the way you got to think about it. It's family, and you got to have each other's back.
Well, Tori's one of those players that has a lot of drive. She'll go forward, backwards. She's a forward, natural forward. But she'll come back and play defense. And she has no selfish bone in her. She'll pass the ball. She'll shoot the ball sometimes from way far out. But anyway, she'll still shoot it. But then she'll also pass the ball. But the thing about Tori that makes her special is that she's always thinking about the other players on the team.
Wow.
So she's not that player that, look at me, it's all about me. It's not about her. She knows it's all about me and as the coach. Right, Tori?
Yes.
Yeah, but she's just one of those players that's a lot of fun to be around. She has a thing that she does. There's 3 things she does before a game: one before a game, one during, and one after. But we're not going to talk about that on the air, right, Tori?
I just heard her go, no.
I just thought I heard the phone drop.
Yeah. Actually, on her signing day, I mentioned it to her new coach, and he just laughed. It's something funny, but it's nothing weird or not. It is weird, right? But it's nothing that's going to embarrass her. So I won't say it.
Don't do it.
But
Keep it up.
Yeah,
whatever you're doing, keep it up.
It works. I'm going to tell you.
That's right.
It works. She scores a lot of goals, especially for our club. In high school, she didn't score a lot, but in club, she was just back of the net, back of the net, back of the net. We were winning 7-1, 8-2.
Wow.
And she was nailing the back of that net because she's a smart player, and that makes teams better too.
high school and travel ball are two. Although it's soccer, it's two different games. I mean, the format of it is a little bit different. There's some more flexibility in travel ball, where in high school typically it's a little bit more structured. The coach wants you to do this, and this, and that's at the end of the day. But in travel ball, there seems to be a little bit more flexibility.
Well, you actually get to pick your players in travel. See, in high school, you're kind of stuck with what you get,
Right.
and I don't mean that in a bad way.
No,
but when you have club, they have to pay to play. So then they actually have. You can kind of pick who you have, as they come on to you. But when you're in high school, you got a freshman come up, or a sophomore, or junior. A lot of times it's a social gathering as well.
Sure.
But when it comes to club, they're not social. I mean, they like to hang out and do their thing, but when it gets on the pitch,
It's business.
It's business. Yeah.
Tori, you still there?
Yes.
Okay. One last question I had for you. Obviously, I was just listening to the coach talking about somebody was able to see your skills and see what you developed, and you did that by covering for your teammates and for setting up plays and setting up goals, which I think is phenomenal. Is that something? Do you feel that the experience you've had in high school is going to make it? I don't want to say easier, but is it going to? Are you going to try to assume a position of leadership when you get into? Are you a leader type of player that's going to maybe help get the gang together and get some groups together?
Well, I'm like the quiet one.
Are you?
Yeah,
Okay.
if anything, if anybody needs something, I'll be there, no problem, and they can always come to me. But I'm like the more quiet.
You're called. That's called leading by example. You know, some people are rah people, but there's some people that quietly just get it done and say, "Watch me," and do it the way I do it. And it sounds to me like you are that type of person. So, I wanted to thank you very much for calling in, Tori. We're gonna keep the coaches over for the second segment here, but we can't thank you enough for calling in, and I can't tell you how. I admire somebody like you who gets an opportunity to take it to the next step in college, and we wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tori.
Thanks so much for calling, Tori. Take care.
Bye.
Boy,
Bye.
now that's what a story.
Absolutely.
Boy, God bless her. And I like that because a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to try." And she said, "I just quietly do what I'm supposed to do, and people can figure out, hey, she's the one going to play in college. She's doing something right."
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's how that works. Well, I'll tell you what, we hear the music wrapping up, and we're going to keep you guys for another segment, right? And
Great.
And here's the mystery, folks. We're somehow going to get Coach Brad to say something in the next 20 minutes. We're going to ask him something about, what's in his wallet. We're going to get to the bottom of what makes him tick. But we'll be back after these messages.
You are listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We're sponsored by Bill Bryant, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their phone number is 352-787-2223. And our phone number here at the station, if you want to call in, is 352-315-1410. And we will be right back after these messages from our sponsors. We are back to the Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County, and our call-in line is 352-315-1410, and we've got the coaches still here.
Yeah, and they're doing a fantastic job. Like you said, we just found out a winning season after getting pounded for a couple of years. So what a reward for everybody, the players, the coaches. But I've got a burr up my behind, and I'm going to ask Brad a question because Brad's been
I don't think you can say that on the air, Bob.
I already did. Too late. Go ahead. Go to the 7-second delay or whatever you got there. But
burr is very unacceptable.
I want to talk to Brad Sensley. Brad is with the Riders, and he said we were laughing off the air. He said he was moral support, and I think that's so important because while Coach Pepe is involved obviously with the personalities, he's got the X's and O's, and I'm sure you do too, Coach. But are you the one that's got to go up and down and talk to some people? You got some people maybe a little ticked off or moping because they're not getting in as much as they want? I mean, what's moral support mean?
Well, this team is unlike any other team I've been a part of, and this was only my first season with
Right.
the Lady Riders. Coach Pep asked me to come out help him.
You've got some coaching experience. We were talking.
Yes, sir.
You're obviously very, very well grounded in your soccer skills and coaching. That's fantastic.
Sir. Yes, sir. This team is so unique. We don't have complainers on this team, and one of the things that Coach Pep was talking about is, we're in the off season and the girls are still coming out to practice. During games, we don't hear players complaining that they're not getting in, or hey, coach, when do I get to go in?
Well, that's important, because that's all I used to hear when I was
right. It's the first team that I've ever been a part of that we don't have that. We have no drama. There's no drama, and that was kind of one of my fears about coming and helping Coach Pep, because I've always coached boys, and if boys get upset with each other, they have it out, and if they have to go in the parking lot and hit each other, then they hit each other, and they're done. But girls are on a totally different level. These girls have no drama whatsoever. They're all friends. They're all family. You heard Tori talk. These girls are like sisters to each other. And in the off season, one of our captains had a sleepover for all of the girls, and Coach Pep and I didn't know anything about it. And come to find out, I think there were only 2 or 3 girls that were missing, right?
Right.
Wow.
They're just out of town.
Yeah, they were out of town. So my support is more for Coach Pep, and we talk with Coach Danny, who's been with this team,
Danielle Reeves.
Yeah, you were talking, and she couldn't make it because, well, I won't say why, but Danielle, if you're listening,
we know why.
They already blew the whistle on you. We know why you're not here.
I've just been blessed to be a part of the program that they have instilled over the last 6 years, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, Brad has a lot of soccer credentials behind him. I didn't think we were going to get the mic back actually. But
I'm kind of sorry I did, but that's okay. Hey, you have to experiment. You got to trial and error.
Brad's been around our community for a long time, and he coached both of my boys, and of course they're out of school now and doing their own thing. But up at Lady Lake, he was their coach, rec league ball. But Brad is very special, and he had an assistant coach, and it really takes two coaches on the sideline to have a good impact on a soccer team. You do have your main coach, but the support, or the moral support, as Brad might want to call it, is so important, because it really leaves the focus for the coach to direct his players often on the pitch, and then the assistant really just sort of takes care of everything else. And there is a lot of things that go on before the game starts as well as after the game ends that Brad or any other assistant coach takes care of. And so, Pepe, you know it just as well as I do, but you're certainly blessed to have Brad with you. And I feel like, between the two of you, it's a really good relationship. You can just see a lot of chemistry between you. And I see you guys staying on the field and the sidelines for a long time.
Well, we sure hope to be.
Yeah, absolutely. We was talking earlier about your 3v3 and qualifying for nationals, and then the Leesburg Riders in your 6 years, right, that you've been with them in your tenure. You've had a lot of girls going on to D2 and D3 schools, right?
Yes.
That's
Wow.
furthering, they're getting out of high school because they're part of the Riders. And then there's obviously enough talent and skill level and coaching there on the Riders that they have the opportunity to move up to the collegiate level. So tell us a little bit about your coaching philosophies and a little bit about your success in folks moving up the sort of the soccer ladder, if you will.
Well, our whole thing is we start at the back line first. If you're playing soccer, your defense needs to be the most stable thing on the pitch. I mean, you need goal scorers, right? But ultimately, you don't want goals scored on you. So our back line was the best back line in the league this year, and they were all young. I'm talking freshmen and sophomores. Okay, so and juniors now. They're moving up now, right?
In a U19 division.
In a U19 division, right? So they were the best back line out there. Then we had a great midfield. We like to push our ball quickly up the pitch. We're more direct. We don't do a whole lot of ball possession, but it's quick passes, get it wide, and get it up and do kind of a fast break, because we have fast forwards. Tori's really fast, and another player's one of our other forwards is really fast as well. So we try to feed into the gaps, hit the channels, and get them running. So that's kind of how our philosophy of the ball game is, and we also compact defensively. So we know how to park the bus, so to speak. So if we get a good lead, we like to park the bus. We don't want to hang 10 or 15 goals on anybody, but if you can't stop us, we'll score. But we don't want to, also give up a lot of goals either.
So you build your team, from the back, from the defense, and move it forward.
Yes, sir.
'Cause
Yes,
that's
sir.
where, and that's generally the success of great coaches and great teams. That's where the key is defense.
Yes.
Well, see, I've watched a lot of soccer, but these are questions I ask, and I'm sorry if they may be silly questions, but it doesn't. If you've got a good backline on defense, but doesn't the defense start at midfield? I mean, I guess I'm saying the best defense is a good offense.
Your first defender really is your forward.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
it's like
sir.
you got if they're not doing their job, then God bless the back defenders. But by the same time,
No,
if you've got
absolutely.
good ones, you've got good ones.
Right, but
Yeah.
the theory is your first defender is your forward. Your first offensive player is like your keeper, right? So because the ball's now moving forward, but our defenders can actually shoot. We've had a couple of our defenders score goals this year because
Really?
we compact forward and press forward, and we move as a unit. So there's no large gaps in the midfield or whatever. So they've really learned how to play the zone and how to move.
Is that
the
something
pitch.
you have to signal them, or do they just know?
They
to
know.
They know to do it where the ball is and where.
Yes, sir,
yeah.
because it's not manned. They're not like on the other side of the field when they should be in their zone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and as far as the people going and moving on to the next level, it's really helped them because most of your colleges do play zone. There'll be some like if Randy's a really good forward, I'm gonna stick my best midfielder on him. So you do like some single man to man, but you will never do a whole team man to man. But so I think it has helped them transition. Like one of our D2 players, she's actually had an easy transition because they play zone. So it wasn't hard for her to go right into the zone. It's just that soccer in college doesn't stop. It's the whole year.
Right.
When the season ends, they go into spring and they train yearly. So that was I think for the girls that are moving on, that's the hardest transition is when it doesn't stop after like in high school. January season's over, now they're doing whatever. In college, it never stops. They train all the time.
Let me ask you. Okay, and I get that. Isn't it good though to take a little break? You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yes.
Don't you get burned out? I would, even if I'm doing something I enjoy. Eventually, I think I want to take a break and do something else, but not for a long time. Just give me a couple of weeks, and
and
I'll be back.
That's what they have.
Yeah,
they have a
yeah,
couple weeks
okay.
in between the season, so it's not continuous. But I think what Coach Pep's saying in high school and what these girls are facing right now, the high school season ends in January.
Right.
If they're not playing club ball, they don't touch a ball.
They're not
again
touching
until
ball
August.
for 6 or 7 months. Yeah, I get
in
that.
college, they get a couple weeks off, and then it's right back to the pitch. So,
running, exercise, all the stuff. So that's a big adjustment for a freshman.
But is it? And here's another of a rookie question, but I think it's pertinent. When does it stop being developmental and stop being about trying to win? And I know that sounds like a silly question, but I'm just saying.
I don't.
Are you?
I don't think it ever stops being fundamental because you always do your basics. And
Okay.
The only reason you're playing is to win.
Okay, well, I understand that, but I'm just saying. But you were saying we're getting pounded, and
but we were winning. Let me explain. We were winning though in that game. There were segments of a game that you actually won things within the game. You've improved, so that's a sense of winning.
Oh, okay.
You know,
all right.
We lost 1-0 to a D1 team that should have beat us 6-0.
So that's a victory.
So it's a victory
yeah.
within. Even though you lost, there was a win in there.
And there are moral victories. I don't
Absolutely.
agree. I think there are such things as moral.
And that's how
victories.
you build the confidence
That's
moving forward.
exactly right. Yeah.
And I think that's a big deal on our team. That's what's happened. So now they've really tasted joy. They went to the 3v3 tournaments, U19. Both our teams, actually, we had a 15 and 16-year-old team playing in the U19 3v3 who also, so both our teams, we split our team up in 2 teams to go to the to 3v3. We took the real experienced players and the ones that really need to learn. And we stuck the ones that really need to learn into the fire. And they came out and they also were able to go to, they qualified for nationals too.
How fantastic is that?
So that was very impressive, right?
That's fantastic. Well, tell me about what you got coming up season-wise.
Well, the season starts in August. We have most all of our players are returning except for Tori and Lizzie Burry. She graduated as well, moving on to college. But those are the only 2 that we lost. So we have a full squad coming back.
Nucleus coming back.
Yeah, and if we get new players, we've picked up one new player that was unable to play with us last year because of her age. So, but she already has all the practice uniforms. She already knows the concepts and the way we play and our formation. So it's an easy transition for her. So anybody else that wants to come play, we're available. But it's going to be a good year for us coming up this season in August because we had such a great season last season. They're moving forward and they're just getting better. their understanding is getting better.
Now, tell me, you were talking a little bit. I'm sorry. Did you have? I was just going to ask you a little bit. You were talking about the you're affiliated with the Villages. There's an
Yes.
umbrella, and how does that work?
Well, we are actually under Anderson through George.
Yeah.
And they kind of like our sister, our parent club, whatever you want to call it. And we play underneath them. What I love most about them and I respect about Anderson is they allow us to be our own identity.
Good.
Although we're the Villages, and it says so on some of our like on our paperwork for the games, but we get to wear our own uniform that says Leesburg Riders, and that says a lot about the character of Anderson. Okay, that he allows that to take place because most clubs wouldn't. But this tells you the spirit of what soccer can do for communities and for cultural exchange. And they actually, Dr. Mine Hussein actually is the one who sponsored us to play in both our tournaments here. And I want to thank them and the Villages for that too, because without them we wouldn't have been able to play in these two tournaments. And they did that. They sponsored us because of something that happened, and they wanted to help us out with that. And that was so. They've got my support. They already had it, but it's even more so now because it was special of them to do that for us.
Yep.
Well, and talking about that, the process that we're at now is registration.
Right.
And for those of you that don't know, unlike high school ball, playing in club ball costs money. And it costs about $200 a player. And we do have some players that are currently looking for sponsors. So if there's anybody listening that would be willing to help out
The number
our players.
You have a number that you want to give out?
Yeah, they can call me, actually. It's 352-874-6615.
Okay.
We greatly would appreciate it.
874-6615. Okay.
Yes. So it's about $200, and they get a kit with that as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Fantastic.
And if there's anybody out there that wants to play for the Leesburg Riders, they can go to your website, which is leesburgtravelsoccer.com.
Yes, sir.
And you can register right there.
Right. And you'll go through Got Soccer and all that when you
Gotcha.
get
Sure.
there. There's a way to. There's actually a link for it and all that.
Where do you play the games?
Sleepy Hollow.
All right. There
That's
you go.
where our home games are.
That's
Okay.
our home games. Then
Yeah.
we just go wherever the visitor is to be
Sure.
beaten. So that's where we go.
You were talking about the Villages and being appreciative of them being the umbrella or the sponsoring organization, but it is a blessing to be able to work with the Villages because some clubs would see you as a competitor and taking kids away
Absolutely.
from
Yeah.
their group. You know, where Anderson and Dr. Hussein see this as not competition, but a great opportunity to grow the sport right here in our
the
community.
sport's developing. That's what it is.
Soccer's the largest cultural exchange there is in the world. You know, I mean, I can tell you, wars have probably not been fought because of a soccer game. You know, and people really take it serious in the rest of the world. I mean, America's starting to come that way eventually, you know.
Well, the culture's got a ways to go, but I think they are slowly
but surely
getting it.
It starts small, and you know, and what we have going with the Villages in Leesburg is special, and I just hope it continues. You know, and I'll do everything in my power to keep it going.
That's what I like to hear. What I really don't like is some of the other sports. They're trying to change rules, and here's what we have to do to increase the sport. We got to change the rules of the game so there's more runs scored. And I think how silly.
Right.
Just how about making the product better? Make the players play better and play smart, and you know the people that like the sport are going to they're going to be attached to that.
Absolutely.
They don't have to see 8 goals, or they don't have to see 8 people in the penalty box or whatever, or
some of your best games are 0-0.
That's it, but that's right.
We're separated by 1 point.
That's exactly right.
Right.
And
And for those that are listening, if you want to see some excitement, once we get our schedule for the fall season, we'll make sure that you guys have it here at the station. Come out and watch our girls play. It's impressive to watch. And for most of the game, the 3 coaches, Coach Pep, Coach Danny, and I, are on the sidelines, and we don't even have to say anything.
That's coaching.
I bet you do,
Coaching
though.
happens
Every
before
once
the
in a while, you might, though, right?
Well, you do. You know, hey, get back, get tight.
Just
You
a
know,
reminder.
I'll give you an example. We have a player. She's a sweeper. She's probably one of the better sweepers I've seen in a long time, and she's a young girl, young player. And she says, now, when should I pull back? Because we had 24 offside traps in 8 games.
All right.
That's impressive for a new back line. And she was like, when do I decide to? I said, well, you tell me when you decide. What do you think? She goes, when I'm not faster than their forward. That brilliant, Aunt. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
So when you're faster than them, now we try to catch them on the trap. Because if we don't catch them, we have to hustle back. And so I said, she goes, when you figure it out, she goes, when I figure out that I'm not faster than their forwards. I'm like, right. So that's how we communicate with our players. It's not screaming, get back, get forward. It's none of that.
It's very much a thinking game.
Very much.
Very
you're right.
much. Yep.
Very much.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I can't thank you enough. These are the type of guys that go see the games. Not only see the girls play some great soccer, but these guys, the time and blood and effort they put into making these girls be cohesive as a team and learn the sport and get some maturity and some life lessons. I just think it's fantastic. So please go see the Leesburg Riders, and we'll get their schedule up for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Maybe you can come back somewhere during the season.
I would love it. Yeah, let's get an update.
We'd love
to.
Hey, and we've got the best captains out there, too. We've got 3 of the best captains right now on our team that we've ever had. So I wanted to throw that out there.
Fantastic. Hey, gentlemen, thanks so much again. And Randy, thank you for bringing these guys. You made the time go fast, and thank you very much. We'll go watch the Leesburg Riders. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, guys.
You are listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We'll be right back after these messages. We are back with the Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We're sponsored by Bill Bryan Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. And that was fun.
That was fun. I am all captivated by people who have a passion for a sport and want, not with any monetary gain, they just go out and put a lot of time and effort into working with kids.
Right.
And I just think that's, I don't think there's a better calling. I just think that's fantastic.
Yeah. Although I had a couple of questions and I didn't answer them.
Well, wait. Next time, wait till they leave. Oh, you did. That's right.
Yeah, I did.
What are your questions?
Well, one of them was I noticed that in MLS, Major League Soccer.
Thank you for clarifying.
I would need it clarified. I was clarifying it more for myself.
I love it.
But the Atlanta, whatever they are, the Atlanta whatevers beat the Orlando whatevers. 1-0, and I see that 1-0 score a lot. Is that the mercy rule? I was
right. Send all your letters of complaint. Call in and complain to Greg Malinzuk. I'll spell that for you. I won't do that, but no, that's funny. I'll tell you what. Well, I'll tell you what. In this segment, we're going to do a second hour. Contribute that totally to baseball, but let's talk about things that have popped up and quickly get this out of the way. But this is basically the last day before they get driving to Paris and Tour de France. Obviously, our foreign correspondent Andrea Krieg was not able to join us after the last 2 weeks because, frankly, this is party time for her and her
breaking out the wine
her
and
Tour
cheese.
de France wonks. No, actually, they're she's got something going on, but she couldn't join us. But she said, and this shows you how misinformed she is. She said, well, you and Greg know enough now. You can take it without me. Here's what I'm telling you. Right. Froome's probably going to win. He's got the yellow jersey. There's 1 day left. If he doesn't mess up the time trials, he's going to pull it off. Pull off not only the championship, but the jersey.
I totally agree with you. I couldn't have said it better myself.
There, and that's our recap. So when we send Andrea the show, we'll send her a copy of the show. She'll I think enjoy the fact that's what we've learned after having her on for 2 weeks. Froome probably will win, and probably some guy in a gorilla suit will jump out and try to push him off his bike. That's not happening. But no, we're all set. But so the Tour de France again. Thanks to Andrea so much for that. And I was amazed. I've had so many people talk to me in the villages about the Tour de France, and they're very learned about it. So obviously, I was in the minority. But I'm learning. Next little blurb is the. It's not a little blurb. It's OJ.
Right.
OJ's back. Boy, I didn't get enough of him 20-some years ago where, first you watched him in the Bronco for 5 days in a row, and then you saw him in the trial for 400 days in a row. And it's okay. So he gets parole.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
Well, for all of you Floridians, he's planning on moving to Florida.
Oh, great! And maybe he thinks that's where Nicole was murdered.
Right.
Maybe somebody. Yeah, he's still
looking for the murderer.
I swear, one of the things he said was he's going to spent his living days looking.
Well, I remember he had narrowed it down to like golf courses.
Yeah, and sand traps. Yeah, that's right. That's not funny, but that's the joke, the going joke.
But he is he's going to start a podcast. I guess that's what he wants to do.
You're going to see so much OJ because and I'm not going to take political shots as much. The conservative stations are going to put Mark Furman on, so I'll be sick of him. And the liberal station can put OJ himself on, and I'll be sick of him. So when this is all done, we should be sick of Mark Furman, and we should be sick of OJ.
Right.
And probably Ito and Marcia Clark. They're all going to show up. And get ready for it, folks. You think this is the tip of the iceberg.
So he supposedly is going to start a podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's going to talk about, but I do know there is no truth in the rumor that Buck Knives and Bruno Malley shoes are going to be his sponsor.
All right, that's what you get. You don't get analysis like that anywhere, folks. You have to come to the Red Zone Radio for that.
That's right.
QBQ 1410 AM. Our phone number 352-315-1410 if you want to call in and join in the conversation. And OJ, we're calling you out. Right now, call if you don't like what we're saying. Call us up.
Right.
I don't think we're going to hear from OJ. We might a couple guys that used to be known as OJ or something, but that's so enough of OJ. Believe me, you aren't going to believe what's going to happen in these next 6 months. Waiting for him to come out. I guess October is when it's going to.
I don't know.
And
truthfully, I mean, all I know is he got paroled because you can't turn around without seeing that news as if I don't know
6 months. We're gonna have 6 months straight of some. Eventually, we get tired of OJ being on the air, but
I could care less.
No, me too. But like somebody with some smarky guy would say, yeah, but you got him. You mentioned him. You talked about him.
Right.
I'm talking about him strictly because I saw everything unfold in the last over 20 years ago, and I'm not. I was really happy not to see OJ for 20 years.
I'm going to say this: if you listen to his podcast, to me that says more about the person who listens to him.
Yes.
So if you listen to him and like him, I really don't want to be around you. And I'm going to say that I'm going to make the analysis that you've probably made a lot of poor decisions in your life that you feel you need to give this man your time, to listen to him say anything.
And without being a wise guy, I'm going to feel I'm going to have mixed emotions about any woman that's going to be dating him.
Right.
And not because he's bad, just because, wouldn't you have some thoughts in the back of your head that, well, I hope the date goes well. I'm serious. That's just me. But okay, enough of OJ.
Right.
Oh, real quickly, and this happened the day after we were on the air last, but Roger Federer wins another Wimbledon.
Right.
How amazing is that?
Yeah.
And the other guy cried.
He set a record, right?
He set a record, and I think he keeps setting his own record.
Yeah.
But hats off to him. And with that being said, let's talk about Coach Freeze at Mississippi.
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. So what do you think? They finally got their under him, 3 of the 5 years he's coached, they made the top 10.
Right.
And it looks to me like there was a lot of incentive for some of the players to go to Ole Miss. Now, they were already under investigation for some other stuff, but this just can't surprise people. Maybe it does, but it doesn't surprise me a bit. Does anybody think that this type of stuff doesn't go on when you're recruiting players and trying to get them to come to your school? I mean, I think it does. I think it's I think this is a tip of the iceberg here too. You're going to find out more stuff about football programs doing this.
Yeah.
I just
Well, I'll tell you, I was pretty naive because I really didn't think it was like widespread, but obviously this is a widespread practice in football, college sports.
I mean, and the player, I mean the recruits, I think know it.
Yeah.
And now there may be some whistleblowers, but you watch. Now that this has all come, there's going to be 3 or 4 other programs sweating bullets because if somebody opens their mouth, you're going to see that this isn't just Mississippi.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
and
I'm not painting them with a broad brush.
Right.
But there are some other schools out there that really wasn't happy to see this news story.
Right. And apparently he's really non-apologetic about this whole situation.
That's always a real good take.
Right.
When everybody is up in arms about something that they think you're doing that is lascivious and mischievous and not illegal, but it is legal. But the fact of the matter is, to not have a remorse, I'm proud. I love the guys that say if I had it to do all over again, I'd do it the same way. I think, that's not the way it's supposed to work. But, so I guess we beat up Old Miss enough, but it's there. And finally, the last big news before we go to the break is, who didn't see this coming? Kyrie Irving wants out of Cleveland. It turns out he doesn't like LeBron all that much. Really? Right? Why? I wonder why that is. The fact that the guys making all sorts of criticisms of the ownership, his teammates, and everything else. Okay, I get it, LeBron. You want to win a few more titles.
Yeah.
Nobody here thinks you're not the best player in the game right now. Don't worry about that. But you may not be. But more importantly, if your teammates don't want to play with you, that's bad.
Yeah, he's turning out to be a little toxic, isn't he?
Well, it seems that way. Yeah. Everybody, when they're winning, everybody's the nicest guy in the world. But boy, you lose, and I could have told them they're going to lose that series. You're going to lose that series.
Yeah, one of the things, like I remember Carmelo Anthony saying, "I'd like to play with LeBron." Supposedly they are friends off the court or whatever. But now LeBron is saying he wants to play for Houston. So I don't get that either. So
well, I just know that they
I thought he was going to be
Cleveland tore all his pictures and signs down when he left the first time,
right?
And then they put them all back up when they're going to tear them all down again. I don't know. But nobody seems outraged by it. I would be, if this is the guy who's from that area, and he's from Akron,
right? And
he's led his team to a championship, and they're on the cusp again of playing for another championship. Why would you leave? Why would you leave?
Yeah.
You've got your championships. You've won. You won there. You won over there. What are you trying to accomplish?
Right.
What is the idea now to play with your friends? Oh, I kind of liked him. I'll tell you what. Go get a championship. You and Melo. I love when they don't call him Carmelo. Melo, and you can play and see how well you play with Melo. See if you can get him to pass you the ball once. Good luck getting that one done. No offense to Melo, but yeah. Offense was supposed to be given to Melo on that.
Yeah, I really think that LeBron is tarnishing his reputation
a little bit,
and it was not a reputation that was stellar to begin with, because of his. You say a word like arrogance, and people get all mad at you, but he's a pretty arrogant guy.
Oh, he's very arrogant,
and I think. And I said this. You always argue with me over like greatest player of all time, but
I think you can't determine it.
Well, but having said that, those who practice that witchcraft, I think he won't go down as I think Michael Jordan retains his moniker of best player of all time because of LeBron James's ultra ego and
is that
arrogance.
what it would be? Not the championships.
Well, I think if he had made a bunch of championships, he would be. But I think that's what sets people over the edge is that it's the championships that really matter. How many?
I suckered you, Greg. One player doesn't win championships.
No, I know.
Okay, so we want to go into.
I know your MO.
Who's the greatest player of all time?
Babe
Let's
Ruth.
talk about teams. What about Oscar Robertson? What about George Mikan? If we're or Bill Bradley was a good. Hey, wasn't he good?
Right.
But but wrapping up, Kyrie Irving, I think, is a heck of a basketball player.
Right.
And I don't care if people care if they live in shadows or don't live in shadows, but I'm sure he's sick and tired of LeBron acting like if he had the pieces in place, he could only win it. He's acting like if he went somewhere else where he had better pieces in place. And Kyrie's thinking, what am I, chopped liver? I'm probably as good a guard as you're going to see in the NBA.
Right.
And you're going to act like I wasn't, And so Kyrie wants out. LeBron. If I was with the Cleveland fans, I'd be mad at LeBron. LeBron's chasing him out. Yeah,
Yeah.
So that's where I look at that. But like I said, we come back after the break we've got so many different things. You had some other things you want to talk about too. But
well, I mean, I
are
don't
they
know.
baseball related?
No, I was going to bring up the golf that's going on.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
The,
Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's
the Open.
want to do that real quick. The Open. Talk about arrogance. We can't call it the British Open and the U.S. Open. It's got to be the Open Championship.
That was the Open, or what we like to call in America the British Open. But,
yeah. Well, we can talk about it, but it's only halfway through.
Yeah.
Jordan Spieth is up, and Ian Poulter is only a couple strokes back.
Yeah.
And he almost lost his card. Remember, he wasn't even playing 4 months ago. But we'll touch about that maybe in the last segment when I do my famous rants.
All right.
There's a rant I've got about the British Open. But we'll be back talking all baseball.
Rainy, foggy British Open.
Always.
There you go.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You are listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We're sponsored by Bill Bryan, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their phone number is 352-787-2223. And we will be right back with the next hour of Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ. We are back with Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We're sponsored by Bill Bryan, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. And in this, we're going to start some baseball talk.
Baseball been very, very good to me. And let's talk a little bit about the what's going on in the divisions.
Right.
Is that okay?
Sure,
Let's start with the American League East because Boston, Tampa Bay, and the Yankees, they're all fighting it out. Now, the Yanks are making some trades. Is Boston, you tell me, is Boston going to make a trade? Would you make a trade if you're Boston?
I think you need to. I think the Yankees just made an overt bid that says they're going to win that division.
Well, I'll tell you what. Somebody's going to have to separate themselves. Boston's got the lineup in place at the top of the order, but now, unlike last year where Poppy'd come in, and now they got a couple guys batting .230 in the 6, 7, and 8 spot.
Right.
And they need one more stick. They could use a third baseman. The guy they got now is playing good D, but he's going to bat .225, and that's not really what you need. But they do. Looks like Price has gotten himself straightened out. Price looks like he's.
Well, for the, he'll revert back to.
Oh, there's a bitter Price hater there, but I like them. And Tampa Bay, I still think they're doing it with finger puppets and mirrors.
Yeah.
I'm still not sure how they're pulling it off, but maybe you can tell me something.
No,
I can't see.
They've got some good young players, but I think when it's all said and done, they're not gonna.
I can't see them being a 500 team.
Yeah.
Right now they're 51-46. I
Right.
can't see it. I can't see it, and I still can't see it with Minnesota. Minnesota, I guarantee you. Well, I told you by the end. I said they'd be 8 out by the end of July. That is looking like a real ill-fated prediction, but I still don't. I'm sorry. I look at their team and I go, come on.
Well, look at Kansas City. Everybody's playing very poorly all of a sudden.
Kansas City, I think will have a better record than Minnesota at the end of the year. I still think
they're tied for second now.
Cleveland, I think, will eventually separate them, but they're not playing. They're like
they're
like the Cubs. I mean, last year they were like 2 fairy tale seasons.
Yeah.
The Cubs are okay. Cleveland's okay, but free agency and everything else, and people leave.
Well, I think actually the Cubs are on the verge of not even making the playoffs.
Oh, I hope you're wrong. I think that they just Bryant. They had 8 guys, and not one of their guys is having they're all having down years.
Yeah.
Their whole batting order is down
Yes.
from last year.
Yes.
That's going to make it tough for you to win the games. I mean, you'd think one of them would have. Rizzo's hitting 255. I mean, everybody just left him. I feel bad for him.
Yep.
But the fans, I think, they got the Taste Championship last year, but there's nobody in that division. I'm sorry. The Pirates, the Cardinals, nah. The not Milwaukee. Milwaukee is, I think, free falling where I thought they were going to be free falling too. I'm looking at their lineup going, no way.
Yeah, I know they've lost 6 in a row.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
okay. And I think
but there's still a game in front.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh won 6 in a row.
Yeah.
But Pittsburgh's now
over 500.
Pittsburgh's over 500. They're 2 games back, and they still have the same very, very shaky starting pitching staff, and they still have the very shaking batting lineup.
Right.
So they got Marte back. So as long as he doesn't go in another 80 games for performance-enhancing drugs, maybe they'll be okay. And how about you remember their third baseman, Chung Ho Kung, or their third baseman? They had a 25 home run third baseman from Japan, and he did something illegal. I don't think it was with little kids or something, but he did something bad. He's disappeared. Nobody's talking about him. So he did something. I guess he's back over to his home country. Right. Whether he's Japanese or Korean, I'm not sure. But that's too bad because they gave him a lot of money, and he could have made a lot of money, and he could have helped that team. And he went in the tank. But so I segued real quick over to the National Central. But let's get back to the American League East. Can anybody touch Houston?
No. I think
I'm talking about in the American League altogether.
Right.
You don't think Boston, New York, Cleveland can't do it?
Oh no,
that's what I'm saying.
Okay, I'm not. I don't think nobody's fearing Houston. I mean, I think Boston went down there and took a few games. Yankees went down there and played them very well. Even they had a bad. The Yankees been on a bad stretch.
Yeah,
and I think, but they're turning that around.
Tell you what,
they're still looking for another pitcher.
Well, what's his name? Is he going for Tommy John, or did he go for Tommy John? Yeah. That's a year and a half. He's out now.
But now there's
that's too bad. I feel bad for him because he was actually starting. I think Pineda was starting to turn the corner.
Yeah,
and now he's just he's out of the plans till 2019.
Yeah, the Yankees are interested in Verlander and also Hugh Darvish, and I guess they've turned their attention to Hugh Darvish. So.
Boy, Now, why? And if Hugh Darvish was worth his salt, and I've only seen him pitch a couple times.
Right.
Why would that team let him go? He's like young, isn't he? He's like 25, 26.
No, I think he might be a little older than that.
Oh, okay.
But he had some. I think he had Tommy John surgery.
Yes, he did.
So
he did. He was out for a year.
Yeah. And then, but Texas, they need to rebuild. They they're
are they mailing it in?
They're under 500 right now. They're 18 games out. They have no shot.
I'd like to be in that locker room when the coach trying to tell them, keep the chin up and we can do this.
Right.
But
so, well, if you're the Yankees and you had the opportunity to get both, either one of those players, Darvish or Verlander,
I'd go Darvish.
Okay.
Verlander's like 33, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's not the dominant pitcher he once was.
No, but I also think when you're on a team like that, I think the
Tigers are obviously unloading.
Yeah, because I think there is a psychological component to, when you're out of it. Because you even see the Mets, all of a sudden all those guys are
they deflate.
Yeah,
no, there's no question. They're not quitters, but they just they know they're not playing for anything.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that. But no, I'll tell you what. We're in the American League. We're in the East Division. Let's talk about the two teams at the bottom because what the heck happened? Well, Toronto, I know what happened.
Well,
but Baltimore has nobody can bat over 250, right? I mean, everybody in their lineup has 40 home runs and bats 220. I mean, that doesn't seem to make it work. They got. Well, I'm lying. Their second baseman's a 303 hitter, the All-Star, but everybody else is. Davis is their home run hitters batting 215, Jones 266, Machado 239.
Right.
If those are your guys, I'm sorry, you don't got enough guys on base to score enough runs, and their pitching staff's getting shelled.
Yeah.
So, and Toronto, when they threw $18 million at Jose Bautista for another year, he's coming through in the leadoff spot, batting 228 with 16 homers and 44 RBIs. I just think. What a bad decision somebody made.
Batista was on everybody's radar to be traded. He was supposed to be the hot commodity, and
he doesn't hit.
And it's amazing that I guess a lot of scouts said no because
he's got big holes in his swing. He swings. He's striking out on record paces this year too.
Right.
He's always been a strikeout. But I understand. We talked about that. Being important now. Nobody seems to care if you strike out.
Right.
To me,
I think that sentiment's beginning to change.
If Judge is going to strike out a lot and bat 320, I'm all for it.
Right.
But I'm not for it at the
Right.
So that's where I am on that. But so that's the American League East.
Speaking of Aaron Judge,
yeah, he had a homer last night.
Crushed a 3-run homer that broke the Statcast machine.
Good. That was his first one since the All-Star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And it came in a very timely fashion. CC Sabathia was the pitcher, and it was his birthday yesterday, so that was a nice gift by Aaron Judge to knock that home run. But he hit it to the second to the last row at Safeco Stadium there up
in Seattle.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they said it was so high that it was beyond the whatever devices they use to calculate all that stuff you love, like exit velocity and
all that stuff that matters to me. Yeah.
Yes. All those stats you'll get
wins
from Jessica Mendoza.
Wins above replacement.
Right.
One of my all-time greats. Oh, there. Okay.
So, but it was quite the epic moonshot.
Oh, good.
Like 20 more feet, it would have literally been out of Safeco Stadium.
I wish he would have done it.
Yeah,
he's going to do that sometime. He hits the ball that far.
Because they're saying where it landed was like 440 feet, and it looks. I mean, it was in the upper deck. Like I said, they have a big wall behind.
I really question how they measure the home runs too. Guy hits it like 80 miles over the 406 sign. That's not a 430-foot home run.
Right.
I mean, but they said, well, he hit that one 436. I said, no, he hit it about 536. I said it was, it's not like he just barely cleared the wall with it. But no, that's interesting. And like I said, we talk about Detroit and Chicago are mailing it in, but Kansas City, Minnesota, and Cleveland. I don't see the Twins. Do you see the Twins holding up? I don't see them holding up. They don't have the pitching. They don't have the lineup. I just don't see it. I don't see how they can do it.
Well, here's the thing in the Central there in the American League is nobody's really playing that well.
No, they aren't. No, it's like the National League Central too.
I think it's almost going to be a win by default.
Well,
you think like Cleveland will,
Cleveland's probably got a better lineup. Yeah, that they run
but they're
out.
not really doing anything.
No, they sure aren't.
Just,
they're 49-45.
Right.
That's not very good.
No.
So, and they're playing weak sisters. They're playing Detroit and Chicago and Kansas City.
Right.
So,
yeah, and speaking of Chicago, the Yankees made a trade with the White Sox.
yeah.
And one of the guys that they sent over there was Tyler Clippard.
Yeah.
So
they did good for them.
Yeah,
That
so
was a smart
Tyler
move.
Clippard came in last night in a tie game in the 10th inning and promptly loaded the bases and then gave up a sac fly to lose the game.
For the White Sox?
Yeah.
Well, he's always been one of my favorites, as you know.
Right.
The good move on their part, and the other one that I can't stand is Francisco Rodney. Whoever thinks that they're going to win the division with Francisco Rodney. I know he's with one of the top teams now, but he's got the 5.50 ERA, and
it amazes me that Chicago gave up what they gave up for Tyler Clippard, and I think
he had one half decent year about 5 years ago, and that's all it takes. Sylvester Stallone got lots of money to make movies after Rocky.
Right.
They weren't very good, some of them. So you have to just sort of, that's the way it works, right? But and like I said, just wrapping up, there's nobody worth looking at. Oakland's dismantling their team. It sounds like Texas is starting to dismantle theirs. And when did that start happening? If you have a bad year, you got to get rid of your good players now to see what you get for them. Why not just keep them if they're good?
Well, I think if you can send a guy and get
get some. There's no question about it. But I'm wondering who the pressure you feel to show your fans you're trying to make them. I don't get it.
Well, I'm going to switch gears here for a second.
Go ahead.
But just talking about like a lot of young players now.
Yeah.
Like they seem to be the hot commodity. All these teams that are doing really well have young players.
Sure.
But I was reading an article that was talking about steroids in baseball.
Yeah.
And they're saying it's as prevalent.
It's coming back.
It never went away. They just became more sophisticated in
how they distribute it. Yeah.
Because I guess there's other things you can do.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they can mask it however they want to mask it.
So,
but
because they were talking about the baseballs aren't juiced and the bats. They brought up that there's something different about the baseball bats, and then they debunk that, and so it circles back to steroid use.
What about Toronto? Let's talk about Josh Donaldson and Batista. There's a couple guys that were 40-homer guys, and Donaldson has 10 home runs.
Yeah.
And he's been up like 355 times.
Right.
That doesn't usually happen. I mean, I don't understand. Maybe he said, "Okay, I'm not doing it." That's not fair for me to say, but it seems very strange. A guy with a history of 30, 35 home runs hitting 15.
Right.
Just seems strange to me.
I agree.
So, and Batista was like 40, 45, and now he's going to hit 23 or 24. I'm curious.
Yeah.
But, that's just me. They were never big guys anyhow, though.
Right.
Some of the guys you can tell, their heads get huge and their traps and everything else get big.
Right.
But the American League, that's a wrap up on that. But so it's going to be between. I still like the East. I still like Boston, Tampa Bay, New York. We'll see what happens. The Red Sox are good, but they're one stick away from running away from that division. I don't know what they're going to do to get it. They need to get somebody that can hit at third base. They didn't have a weak link in the batting order last year. Now they got 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
Can't do it. But their pitchers aren't bad. I like Drew Pomeranz. They got some guys that are really holding up their ends. They're doing pretty well. Porcello's having a down year, and he's I thought they might trade him. Yeah. We'll see what happens. But that's my wrap up. We'll get back to the National League after this.
All right, you're listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. Our phone number here at the call-in line is 352-315-1410. And we are sponsored by Bill Bryant Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their phone number is 352-787-2223. And we appreciate all that they do for us, and we enjoy bringing you all sports. And we'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors. We're back with Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County, and we are talking some baseball.
We're talking baseball, and we're talking the National League now. We've already decided that the American League is between the AL East Division leaders and winners until they get to Houston. But the National League is okay. We're going to go with the East. The Nationals, are they that good? What do you think?
They're pretty good.
You think they're pretty good?
Yeah.
All right. I guess I can't deny that.
Well, I was watching the game last night.
Oh, you did watch the one where they and Scherzer? Yeah, you were talking about Scherzer.
He
yeah,
gave up 3
back to back.
Yeah. And they used your phrase regarding Max Scherzer as the future Hall of Famer, and said it with such alacrity that I was taken aback.
Well, speed and alacrity are the same thing. Sometimes I tell you what,
he has won 2 Cy Young awards, but he's got a paltry 136 wins. He's going to be 33 at the end of this month. I don't see him
You think the 2 Cy Youngs are going to get him in?
No.
I don't see how they can.
Now, the only thing he does have a low ERA and he strikes out a lot of people, but to me, it still comes down to wins. Is a big.
It used to.
I think it's a big. To me, it's a big indication.
But as the game,
even though it's a team sport,
has the game changed enough now though that, and we see it all the time. I'm looking at the box scores. Starting pitchers go 6 innings, give up 3 hits, a run, and they get yanked. And somebody in the bullpen comes in and blows the game, so they don't get the win. That is a normal process in Major League Baseball.
Right.
So I'm just wondering if that's something that's. Ask Matt Garza, he pitched 5 innings at 3 hits. He got yanked, and the team ended up losing 6-1. I mean, I just don't understand the quick hooks and this guy's my close. This guy's my setup. He's the setup to the setup, and he's the setup to the setup to the setup. I think, geez, whatever happened to trying to win the games? The guy, if you bring your best pitcher in, it can get the guy out. And once the game's over, decide how you're going to play tomorrow night. But this by committee stuff where we can't offend him, and we also can't put him in the 8th inning because he's my 9th inning closer.
Right.
Now, that one really drives me up a wall, but that's going on. But sorry that I got sidetracked.
Yeah.
But getting back to the National League, so the Nationals are that good. The Braves aren't that good. And how about the Mets?
They're terrible.
Well, are they terrible, or are they just racked with?
If
Syndergaard was pitching and Harvey was pitching, but I mean, that's, I guess everybody can say that.
Yeah.
But Matt seems to have his ups and downs too.
He had another down last night.
That's,
they won the game, but
well, that's good. Okay, they came back and beat the Athletics.
On the Mets front, Cespedes now did an interview and said he'd like to finish out his career in Oakland. Which was odd to say.
Does he know where he's playing?
And he said that, and I forget who the Oakland manager is. Pardon me for that, but said he's the best manager he ever played for. So that must have made Terry Collins feel really good.
That's
it's like
that's one way to get traded.
But he did pull the translator got it incorrect. So because he was speaking through a translator, so apparently the translator was just making up stuff as she went along there, and not really was paying attention to what he was actually saying. That's the gist that I'm getting from that.
That's the gist. Okay, well, like I said, Cespedes, he's the only guy. It seems he and Conforto are productive, and everybody else is kind of. I know Bruce is, but this is a typical Jay Bruce.
Right.
A couple home runs, 2 games in a row. He'll hit 4 home runs, and then he'll strike out 10 times and go for 12. I mean, he's going to bat 265. I don't know how many homers he's going to hit, but he's not going to be. He's going to strike out 150 times and bat 265.
Yeah.
That can be good or bad depending on the rest of his team. Granderson hitting a whopping 223, but they don't even let him start. Why isn't he getting a chance to start?
I don't know. It's a mess over there.
It really is. I'm just reading. And Reyes at 228, and he's had a couple 3-hit games. So I'll tell you what, we just got a call, but I'm just recapping what we got on the. What do you got? Anything exciting?
Yeah, he didn't want to go on the air, but it was another caller saying I'm doing a fantastic job, and he likes the way that I carry you on the show. So.
Well, okay, everybody's entitled to their wrong opinion. So, but no, getting back to the Mets, I guess you're right. They do stink, and there's nothing more to be said about them. So, that. And Atlanta, talk about a mirage when they skyrocketed with an 8-game win streak.
See, that's another team that's trying to make that transition to young players. Now, granted, I know they had
with R.J. Dickey.
No, but I'm talking about a lot of the position players.
Oh yeah,
and stuff.
And they tried, and Freddie Freeman, I think they tried to make him a third baseman. He never played it in his life. They said, by the way. He said, I guess we really need a third baseman. They said, okay, you're it. So he's over there. I'm sure he's thinking, what in the world's going on? He liked it better at first, I'm sure. But, hey, I've got nothing against the Braves. They've got they were on top for so long that I got spoiled watching them.
Yeah.
So, and then the conundrum that is the Central Division where Milwaukee's at first place after losing 6, they're still in first place, but they're 52-47. The Cubs 49-46. The Pirates have won 5 games in a row, and the Pirates are actually
making some noise,
tantalizing their fans. But and I'm from Pittsburgh, but I got to be honest, fans. You really think that's a really great baseball team there? Yeah, with the let me run down their
but here's
their lineup for you.
Here's the deal in this, much like the American League Central. There's really nobody running away with that.
No, there isn't. They easily could win the thing.
I mean, they're only 2 games out now.
I know. Now,
there's a lot of games that all of a sudden you can find yourself in that. Now, I don't think they'll win the World Series. I don't think they'll make it to the World Series.
No,
but it wouldn't surprise me if Pittsburgh wound up winning that division.
Oh, okay, it would surprise me only because their pitching staff is really, really. Really, really suspect.
Right.
Nova is outside of Cole. Cole's their ace. His ERA is over 4. Nova's 10-6, but his ERA is close to 4.
Right.
They got Chad Cole pitching. They got Trevor, what's his name, won last night, and he's got an ERA 4.85. I just don't think when they play the good teams, they're going to get. I think they're going to get shelled. You can say, hey,
Right.
they just beat the Brewers 4. I don't think the Brewers are any good.
No, I mean, but
I just
again, I
don't.
think it's a weak division, and they're kind of feeding off.
Pittsburgh
of one
plays
another.
Washington a bunch of times, and the Dodgers.
Yeah,
a
that's
bunch
gonna
of times.
hurt.
They're gonna get pounded. They're just gonna get pounded.
Right.
And that's the name of that. And Arizona, we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, let's move on to the West Division.
Boy, I blinked my eyes,
Wow.
and the Dodgers are 8 games in front.
I have 10.5.
Or, yeah, I'm sorry, 10.
They're 10.5 over Colorado, and Colorado's 15 games over 500. They're probably thinking, what do we have to do?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Arizona.
Yeah.
But
Well, they're 9.5. You have the paper there.
yeah, okay.
Is it-
Los Angeles, the last 10 games is 9-1.
Right.
Arizona's 3
Well, they lost.
3-7.
The Dodgers lost last night.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, but
That's like a miracle.
having said that, I just didn't expect the Dodgers to be doing what they're doing.
I don't see how they're doing it with
Right.
Puig in the lineup. I think he's a cancer. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, they've got him around 4 or 5 young guys that
Right.
hit the ball pretty well. That Turner guy, obviously, he's for real. He's
Yeah.
batting like 370. He looks like somebody off of Duck Dynasty. But I'll tell you what, he's hitting the cover off the ball, so my hat's off to him. Yeah, batting, he's up to 370. Harper's next to 337. There's your 2 leading batters. So the home run battle is between Stanton and Bellinger. Ooh, and Bellinger's only batted, he's batted 200 times less than Stanton has.
Right.
So I don't know. They're all future Hall of Famers in my eyes, as you know that. So anybody that can hit 30 homers should be in the Hall of Fame.
They should be.
But in retrospect, wrapping up baseball, the trade deadline is the big deal. Now
Yeah.
that's going to be the thing that's on everybody's lips for the next week.
Right.
I haven't heard anything juicy. Who do you think is going to get moved that has any significance?
I'm not really sure. Focusing back into the Yankees, and they are definitely looking for another starting pitcher, and so.
But who do they have to give?
Well, they've got a well-stocked minor league system right
Still,
now.
they still do. Well,
yeah.
that's good then. Okay.
Yeah. But and who knows with what they just picked up from the White Sox that some of those guys wouldn't transition right over to Texas.
No, you're right.
So,
but they still got Bird too. Is Bird something that they could get something for?
well, I don't think they can because he's on the disabled list and he just had an ankle operation.
Oh, that's
so,
that's gonna wipe him out.
And
yeah.
I think depending on what happens in spring training, he says he's going to come back. He'll be ready sometime towards the end of the season. Others are saying not on an ankle injury.
No. Yeah,
And,
no
so-
medical degree in his
right.
wall.
So I couldn't really see that anybody would take him. On that I'm like the Yankees wouldn't get anything for him. I'm sure somebody would take him, but I don't think there'd be.
But you're right. They really need a pitcher.
Yeah.
Boston needs a power bat.
Right.
New York needs a pitcher. Tampa Bay needs some. I don't know. They need some guys that can.
I agree with you.
hit for
Smoke and
average.
mirrors,
Yeah, it's home runs every once in a while, and they're getting it done. But it really is smoke and mirrors. But I used to get so excited about the trading deadline. Guys, you look at all the guys that are out there. You can see what teams are
Yeah.
cutting bait.
Well, usually
Detroit looks like you can go get Verlander if you want him.
right.
Um,
Well, the flurry usually comes on that last day. They'd be quiet, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden, you hear all these rumors and stuff. And there's actually a website, baseballrumors.com, that you can look up all that stuff. But but like I said, Verlander, he's available, amongst many others.
By the way, I got to bring this up. You'll think
Sure.
this is funny. This is a headline in the local Village's paper.
All right.
Just a little blip. Mariners keep making moves to bolster bullpen staff. Now they're 20 games out, I think. So I gotta believe the last thing in the world they want to do is bolster their bullpen staff. But that's what the headline says, so I'm going to go with that. Seattle. Yeah, they're 16.5 back. I don't think they're trying to bolster their bullpen staff, but they acquired left-hander Marco Gonzalez from the Cardinals in exchange for top outfield prospect Tyler O'Neill. The second move to add pitching to Seattle. No, I don't think. I don't know. There's something funny about that headline, but I just thought that was interestingly enough that somebody thinks that that's a team that's 17 outs trying to bolster their bullpen staff for the run for the pennant. I just don't know if they're on top of it.
It might be propaganda for their fans that they're going to actually try to do something.
Well, I don't know anything about the players involved, but you have to look up and see what top outfield prospect Tyler O'Neill's. He might be batting .230 in Double-A. I don't know, so we'll find out.
Yeah.
But
so I was trying to watch some baseball the other night, and on ESPN.
Oh, is this going to be about our girl?
Yeah.
Good.
So Jessica Mendoza, who
Yes.
I have dubbed the worst broadcaster in Major League Baseball history, was ruining yet another game to me, and she there's not a stat that woman does not like to spew.
Whip out. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's just horrific to listen to this endless drivel of inane stats coming out of this woman's mouth. And then she comes up with ones that you just possibly couldn't care about that I personally didn't even know existed. So she should be like the Siri of Major League stats. You hear her voice, like you hit a little button in it.
I have to admit, you used to dump on her, and I didn't know her that much, paying attention that much to her, but I don't like her as a broadcaster for that reason. She's,
So I went many decades, not really that many decades, of broadcasters all around, and had never once did they mention their kids. I saw no photographs of their kids while they're broadcasting. I wouldn't even know they had kids, but gosh darn it, Jessica Mendoza and those producers over there at ESPN cannot control themselves with talking about her kids and showing stupid snapshots of them. And it's sad that you would despise 3 or 4 year old kids, but I do. I hate them. I just hate them. So.
Well, I don't like LeVar Ball.
Right.
He may be a great basketball player, but if I got to put up a listen to his dad, I know.
Right.
And everybody's like, "Oh, isn't he a mastermind?" I said, "Well, depending on how you look at it, but no, I don't think he's a mastermind. I think he's tough to take."
So I got one more thing with Jessica Mendoza.
Let him rip.
I didn't really notice this, and I don't know if she's broken this out recently, but she does this thing which is called a vocal fry. And
what is that?
This stems from like the Valley Girl talk from, I guess that was like the 1980s. But you start introducing like a gravelly tone in your voice when you're talking,
Oh, really?
And apparently women, I shouldn't say women, girls like to do this, like 16, 17-year-old girls like to have this gravelly,
like a growl type thing.
It's just like a gravelly. I can't reproduce it,
Okay.
and I actually had to look it up because I'm like, what is with this all of a sudden that she's doing this gravelly thing in her voice? And so this is a phony affectation that little girls usually do. So she should be ashamed of herself. I assume she's like in her 30s, taking on this 14, 15-year-old slumber girl party kind of talk.
Well, maybe we can get her as a guest, because I think you'd like to have her as a guest.
I would. I would. So she said in one of her responses about people criticizing her broadcasting, she says, "I'm a pioneer. I don't care what they say. I'm a pioneer broadcaster." Well, I'm going to say right here at this moment on this station, she's setting back women's broadcasting 20 years.
Well, We'll see how it goes.
That's my rant.
That's a good rant. I usually I like the rants where I disagree with you, but I have to agree with you for the most part on that. I got to hear her do. The Pirates were on the national game,
right.
and she did it. And I went, "You got to be kidding me!" Everything it just kept coming out and coming out and coming out. Stats that I didn't care about, and
right.
To me, that doesn't make you,
No. We talked about even other broadcasters doing stats, and it's a lazy way.
It's a lazy way to talk about things. You got nothing else to talk about.
She's brought it to new levels.
All right, I'll buy that. Well, it's rant time after this, so get ready.
Great,
Get ready to rant.
Can't wait. You are listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We are sponsored by Bill Bryan Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their phone number is 352-787-2223, and we will be right back. And we are back with our last segment here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. And we got some rants.
It's rant time. And I don't know if you're aware of the new thing that they're proposing. Of course, everything's high tech, but they're proposing the new technological strike zone, and they're going to move the home plate umpire from behind the home plate to behind the pitcher, sort of like Little League.
Yeah.
And I
like to say girls softball.
But can you think of anything sillier? What is the point? Again, I really want to know what the point is to the technological breakthroughs. Is it to get it right?
You know what? I am perplexed.
I'm perplexed. I hear we're going to try and get it right. We're going to do an instant replay. Everything is get it right, get it right, get it right.
Right.
But if you challenge one of our calls and it's not accepted, then you can't challenge anymore. I think. Then what happens if you make 15 more bad calls?
Right.
You don't care about getting them right then.
Yeah.
I mean, it's silly to me.
Right.
And there's got to be a human element to the sport. If you take the human element out of the sport, nobody's going to care, and nobody's going to want to watch it.
Right.
I'm not going to want to watch it.
Right.
What are you going to argue with the electronic bloop when the
Right.
thing says it caught the corner? I really don't, And that doesn't mean that. Well, I'm not going to go into that anymore. But one of the rants I have is that the proposed all the sports need changes. We've got to change the sports from what they were. I don't understand why. If it's a time thing, address the time thing. If it's taking too long, cut down the commercials. Don't let the Jose come out and fold his batting glove after each pitch.
Right.
That's easy to solve. But the idea that they're coming up with all this stuff under the guise of we got to get it right now, then get more umpires or get less umpires. I don't care, but or else have them collaborate.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
There's a play at second base. You get 4 umpires together. Three saw him safe. 1 caught him out. He's safe.
Right.
That I'll go with. But I don't. I'm getting very, very frustrated with all of the high hatters who have to come and, for the good of the sport, we have to make changes. And I don't. I want to know how they. Lay them out for me, because what they're coming up with now, I don't see. They don't fill the bill. They just don't. It doesn't work.
This isn't really a sports thing, but I think the powers that be kind of look at these statistics. And I just read an article that millennials' attention span for commercials is 5 to 6 seconds. Some organization did a study on this. So I think like Major League Baseball and all sports actually look at this and they try to do things that are 5 or 6 seconds, and other than replay, which is
then
5 or 6 minutes.
almost every sport's doomed.
Yeah.
If you look at it that way.
Right. But I think they are. I think, again, I know I've said this before, the video gamization of sports.
Well, and it's very appropriate. I really like that you've done that, because that's exactly what it is.
Here's another thing that angers me, talking about rants, when now they're having this competitive video games. So, like, you'll play John Madden football, and they'll have kids or people sitting on couches. I don't know, however they do it,
Uh-huh.
playing football against the computer, and then you move up in tiers or something. It's not even like they're playing one another. I think they're like playing like the John Madden game.
Oh, okay.
And so I mean I don't even know how it works, and quite frankly I don't want to know how it works because I just think it's so ridiculous to think who watches this stuff.
Well, I don't know, and the fact of the matter is, somebody's taking the easier way out. Like
Yeah.
I said, and unfortunately, baseball has done that. I told you with the La Russa and everything else.
Right.
Is that what he's doing now? Well, then we're going to do it. Oh, so you got to take your pitcher out in the 6th inning if he's pitching well? Oh, then let's do that.
And
I mean, we have to have relievers that only pitch 1 inning. What?
And I don't.
No, you don't.
I don't know which game I was watching last night. Actually, I was watching MLB, and so they were bouncing around. So they would show like an
Okay, they're
half
going.
inning.
They're going back and forth.
Right.
All right.
And they were talking about this particular umpire, and so you see on like their little screen
Square.
with
Yeah,
the
the little square, yeah.
and that the pitcher's throwing this consistently low ball that the
Umpire's giving it to him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But you want to know something? It was consistent.
That's all I
And it
care
wasn't
about.
really low. I mean, that little
was
circle,
borderline low,
Yeah,
yeah.
was the little circle was below.
But that's a
But
good a good
every-
umpire is going to call that the same pitch
Yep.
every time,
and it was
that's all I'd
and
want.
it was amazing whether it was what side of the plate it was on. He was calling this ball consistently a strike. And of course, the pitcher then picks
Pitcher
that
loves
up.
it. Pitcher
and
loves it. He's
he's
going to put it there every
right.
time.
So-
But the batter's got to adjust to it.
Right. And which, of course, they were doing because then they were starting to swing at that
Yeah,
low pitch.
sure.
But it was just, I mean, that's the thing. It's consistency. I don't want to see that square. And if the ball is touching it but it's below, then is that a strike or not a strike? Or yeah, I mean, it just brings up all more goofy nonsense.
Well, it really is, and I mean that's interesting that you brought that up about the low strike, because that's what I look for in umpires.
Right.
I look for consistency, and everybody can. We've had this talk before about the video gamization.
Right.
Do we really need to have everything electronically monitored
Right.
because it's we've got the technology.
Right.
I don't see it. I remember the pitcher. It was the batter that was up, and the guy threw a fastball under his arm, and there was a 10-minute discussion on whether he got hit with the pitch or not.
Right.
I mean, you can't.
Right.
Your computer's not going to tell you.
Right.
The computer can't say, "Oh, look, it nipped his shirt."
Right.
And they're having this big discussion. I thought, just either tell him to get back in the batter's box or takes his base, but don't. Do we need to try to look, and then we have to go look at the camera for 10 minutes?
I was
okay. Let's see if it nipped his shirt. You can't tell. It's just,
I was watching a game. It was a Yankee game, and Brett Gardner was hit by a pitch, and the pitcher was mad because he never moved out of the way, and in fact his forearm was in the strike zone.
that's happening a lot now.
Yeah, but they gave him his base, and I forget what team they were playing. I think what was it, Milwaukee or somebody. The manager came out and he said, what, he shouldn't get the first base. I mean, he was in the strike zone.
It was a strike.
Right, and he
Yeah.
didn't move, but they gave him.
Well, that's always going to be about. Like I said, the Pirates have a guy, Josh Harrison,
Right.
that he's been hit 23 times while he's like leading the main. He jumps into the strike zone and gets hit, and I
Right.
keep thinking somebody's going to call him on it one of
Right.
these days, but they haven't yet.
Right.
And I don't know if it's.
Well, that was the thing. That's one of the reasons I never liked Barry Bonds, was because he would wear
you wear this
armor,
big thing on your arm,
and then his
stick your arm
elbow
out.
was always in the strike
zone, so
it's
you
like-
can't pitch him. Yeah, so he can cover the outside
Right.
pitch, and you think.
And so he gets hit in the arm, and it's like big deal. He's wearing, his pad was ridiculously big and thick.
Sure it was.
It's like
Heck yeah.
the
But it's because Gardner's like there's a lot of hitters. Frankly,
Right.
Good for them. They want they crowd the inside of the plate. They want to
Right.
reach the outside pitch, but geez, when they get hit with a pitch that's they're literally the arms out. I've seen it about 2 or 3 times, not
Right.
that many, but I want to be there when the umpire calls says that was a strike. You jumped out
Yeah.
in front of the strike zone, and there's no machine that's going to tell them that.
Right.
I mean, so that's that, I know it sounds like that's far-fetched. It's really not.
Right.
Who wants to get hit with a pitch? You think, well, a lot of these guys do. I always laugh because then they're going to have to talk about it, and this is a rant I was going to say, but I'm going to segue to it. It's called base paths running. Nobody knows how to run the base paths anymore in Major League Baseball. And the fact of the matter is these guys catch ground balls, and they're hitting runners going from first to second base. And the guy, there's got to be a direct route. The runner can't be running out and if I catch a ground ball, if the catcher catches a bunt and the guy's running to first, the catcher's got to throw it on the inside of the baseline. If the runner's running on the inside of the baseline, he's out. I don't know if you know that. You got to run outside. You got to run. You got to run. You can't own the runner can't randomly go wherever he wants to on the baseline. That's how you get balls deflected.
Well,
to me, there's got to be a rule on it.
Well, here's the and I know this is going to get.
Is this going to be because it's fun?
No, I'm going to because I've actually heard an explanation of this.
Go ahead.
So the batter hits the ball.
Yeah.
And he leaves the batter's box.
Yeah.
And so he's on the inside of that
of the base.
He shouldn't be. But here's the thing. Here's what they say. If he just runs to first base that way, that's okay.
No.
If he this is the explanation. If he varies that route, then he's supposed to be called out. But as long as he stays, in that route, he's supposed to be fine.
Well, when I umpired baseball, if you hit the ball and dribbled it in front of the plate, and the catcher picked the ball up and threw it in the inside of the baseline,
right.
and the runner was on the inside of the baseline, he was out if he got hit with the ball.
Right.
And but they don't, like I said, now it's, guys first basemen are jumping off to the side and runners are running with their head. I think just run the bases properly. Just run them properly. And you see what's happening now. How many controversies have you had at second base? Not that many, because they actually put some rules in place. I don't know if it's a good or bad rule, but at least now you don't have big discussions. Did he do this? Did he do that? Did he, no, really, I can't think anybody that's. Have they had a problem with guys going in with high spikes or going out of the baseline? If they have, and I sure haven't heard about it in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
And that was a big deal last year.
Well, I was listening to Booney on the ESPN broadcast. That's my
Aaron Boone.
Well,
yeah.
Booney to me and
to
Jessica Mendoza.
To his friends.
Yeah. And he was talking about he doesn't like that rule. He said, smash the guy.
Well, it's not, but but we don't want to see people get injured. Right? I mean, that's the whole point behind it. So one of these days somebody's going to get hit with an outfield throw, and we're going to have to wear like bicycle helmets when we're running the bases. It's coming.
Well, they do. They can't take off their helmet.
No, but I mean, now they're getting bigger ones. You're going to get. It's going to look like they're riding.
Right.
Like with a Super Bowl on them. So, but we'll see what happens. I know everybody. I don't know if it's a political thing. We have to be nice. We have to be, but it's the game. People get hurt playing games.
Well, here's another disconnect. I don't know. Like the MMA is very popular, especially amongst millennials.
Yes.
Yet you can't slide into second base. So I don't know. I don't get it. I'm not saying you should have an MMA smackdown at second base, but it's like all this genteel to give me a break.
You significantly segued into my last rant.
Okay.
And we have to say,
right.
And it's this idiotic Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor. Is that his name?
Yes.
This is being done for one reason only. It's to have another rematch. If they can all make $150 million, whatever they're going to make, and they're going you can't be surprised. I'll bet dollars to donuts. This is a travesty when they fight. By travesty, it might be a beatdown in 2 rounds, or it might be a waltz for 12.
Right.
But what is the intrigue? If a guy, an old trained boxer, is going to fight a guy that can use his feet and bounce, although I guess he can't.
Maybe it's like Godzilla meets Mothra. It's MMA meets boxing. I don't know.
Is that where we are? There's not enough good boxers out there, and I know that's a fact.
Because
there's not enough good boxers.
Does McGregor get to use all of his techniques like does he get to kick Floyd?
No, I don't
Mayweather
believe
in
so.
the head?
I don't
but
believe so.
Yet Floyd Mayweather can't hit below the belt or kidney punches.
I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing, but what they've done is, and I'm embarrassed for me being a sports fan, how they've promoted it. Where now they get in and they scream at their promotional thing, and one calls the other one a wife beater, and the other one calls. And I think, is this really? Where do we go from here?
Right.
I mean, how does it get worse than this? People take an actual bat, and hit somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand.
That's actually, you're right. That was embarrassing too.
I can't watch. I mean, and I see people getting all excited. But did you see him? I said, I saw it, but I was embarrassed by it.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed that I had to watch that.
Right.
And if that's really where we are, because it's gonna get worse. I mean, nobody wants to back off that stuff.
Right.
If that got a good rating, we can do something even more and get a better rating.
Oh,
I can see it coming.
There'll be some good ratings for that. They're already saying that at $50, I think it is, they're already making millions and millions of dollars on the people who've pre-signed.
And that defeats my argument, because somebody will say, "Hey, that's what the people want." And I'd say the people don't know what they want.
I think people wanted public.
People want somebody to tell them what they got to be on top of. Everybody wants to be in tune and on top of things, and that's why I say they all go see these first-line movies that stink. Frankly, some of them, and I mean, because they don't want to be the one guy on the block or in the group that didn't go see it. I mean, but I just can't take those sports and where it's become. I used to enjoy boxing when I was a kid.
Sure.
Because they had some decent boxers.
Yeah.
Sugar Ray was a pretty good. Leonard. I mean, they had some guys that were decent boxers.
Gentleman Jim Corbett.
I wasn't. I'm old. I'm not that old. But the fact of the matter is,
do it, I'm sorry.
But now it's they get one good boxer out of 10, and there's nobody from the fight, so they got to do sideshow stuff.
Right.
I just find it troubling. But you know what? The joke's on me, because they're going to keep on coming. This is going to sell out, and they're going to keep on selling out. And pretty soon it's going to be, a baseball player or a football player that nobody likes. He's going to go fight somebody from the whatever it's called, the MMA.
I don't know the exact quote, so this is a bit of a paraphrase, but P.T. Barnum said nobody ever went broke underestimating the taste of the American public. So So
he also said there's a sucker born every minute.
Right.
And he has it right on both accounts.
Right.
That's right.
So I really think that falls into that camp. I mean, it's like, I'm not going to pay for it. I'll will I look at it in the paper the next day? Yeah, I will. But
I'll look in the paper the next day, but I just find it, it's embarrassing to me. So, okay, well, music, and I knew Big Ralph was in.
Right.
We're coming
Ralph
in with the River Jordan. So
River Jordan and Friends coming up after
thank
us.
everybody for us meandering along as we did, but there were a lot of things. To get to my ranch, you have to put up with a lot of stuff sometimes.
That's all good.
Thank you, Greg. I enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
We'll see you next week. You're listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We're sponsored by Bill Bryant, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their phone number is 352-787-2223. And thanks for listening, and we will see you next week. And y'all have a great weekend. Stay tuned for Ralph and River Jordan and Friends.